Hi, hi, hello, howdy ho. I believe it is 11:11. Happy Friday. I was just listening a little to one of my favorite speakers talking about peace. And, yeah, something that we can find for ourselves at any given moment when we make peace with the given moment. Yeah? On that note, with that intention, I'm here to make peace with this given moment. Feeling pretty good, all things considered, this chilly morning. Still got my place to myself for a limited time, so enjoying that as I slowly clean up the messes of roof doing. Let's do just a little arms swinging and hips swaying just to kind of wake up the body a little bit, get into the body. As usual, I'm here to keep my agreement with myself. All you can do is start over when you drop the ball. I get to remind myself pretty often. So that's what I'm doing, beginning again and again and again, and inviting you to join me if you feel like it, to whatever degree you feel like it. I'm going to take off some of these layers. I'm going to bring my awareness into the bottoms of my feet. Thank you for the love. I do appreciate it. Bringing my awareness into the bottoms of my feet, rooting myself into the center of the earth, hanging myself from the center of the universe. And I'm going to swan dive down with a relatively flat back, past the waist, from the hips. I think the lighting is kind of screwy in here, but what can you do but go on? Oh, I see there are dust bunnies making their way under the couch, too. Or what passes for a couch in my living room, which is actually a van seat. I'm going to roll back up, stacking one vertebra on the next. I'm going to lift the arms and push the hips forward, a little counter stretch, and then again, swan diving down with a relatively flat back. Just letting gravity do some unwinding. Let's come over to the left and over to the right and back to central, and then bending the knees, swinging the arms around, coming back up into that counter stretch. And one more time, swan diving down with a relatively flat back. The body has been abused with sugar lately. I'm going to give myself a hug. Give this body a hug. Pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, left elbow over right. Pulling these shoulder blades apart. Giving a nice self-hug. And then releasing all that again from the hips. Got a stretchy shirt on today. We'll make do with it. This time right elbow over left again, pulling up in the pelvic floor, back in the abdomen, rounding the spine, pulling the shoulder blades apart, giving a nice little squeeze, and then releasing all that again toward the floor. Just hanging here for a breath or so. I'm going to roll up nice and slow, stacking one vertebra on the next. Just checking in with the spine today. Let's do some shaking it off. Shake it to the left and shake it to the right. Today is day 3 with my new contacts, and I can't tell if it's that my eyeballs are scratched or my new contacts are scratched, but damn! Scratchy eyes much? Oh yeah, it's alright. I still prefer scratchy eyes that can see a little bit better to scratchy eyes that can't see, so I'm riding it out. We'll see how it goes. Doing some more hip swaying, lifting the weight off the right, pushing into the left, weight off the left, pushing into the right. Grounding both feet and sliding the hips, putting that stretch into the abdomen and the back. Sliding to the left, trying to keep these hip bones relatively parallel to the floor. And slide it to the right, and to the left, and to the right. And then again, hip dipping, pushing into this hip, pushing into this hip. Do be careful that you don't pop that hip right out of the socket. It is something that can be done. I don't think it's very pleasant though, so I don't recommend it. I'm going to do a little more spinning. In fact, I'm going to add some qigong. Circle on top and push into the back, breathing in on top. Push into the right. Just a little deep breathing goes a long way. It's a good practice. Any time of day is a good time for a deep breath, I think. I'm going to take another deep breath and step back with the left foot into a moderate lunge, pulling that back hip forward, forward hip back, tipping the tailbone under, making sure not to crunch past that foot with the toes, with the knee. Pressing into that back heel. I'm going to shift that heel forward, coming into the side plane here, sliding that back foot out a little bit, bending from the hip into a twisting side triangle, using right arm and leg against each other for torque and support, and lifting the eyes and the left hand, gazing past those fingertips. Bring that hand down onto the diagonal, feeling for a nice diagonal line out the heel, through the spine, out the fingertips. Shifting onto that back toe and bringing weight on both hands on the inside of this right leg, and then bringing that leg back to meet the back leg. Try not to slide on my slippery floor. Pushing through the palms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head, pressing into both heels. Press more into the left, press more into the right, press more into the left, and pressing into the right, and then pressing into both heels again, and then swinging the body forward, lifting the chest through the shoulders, dropping the hips and the belly, pulling the legs together. Just stretching the whole front, stretching the eyes up, and then lifting those hips again, pressing back into downward facing dog or an upside down triangle or a tent, pressing into both heels. I'm going to swing that left foot forward between the hands, making for slight adjustments. I can't see if I'm still in the camera. There I am. I think I got to work on lighting in here, which I will do in the future. Stepping forward with that back foot, hanging here and forward fold again, and then bending the knees, swinging the arms back. Pushing the hips forward, coming into a bit of a counter stretch. Coming back to central or neutral. Let's bring the arms behind back, rolling shoulders together, elbows together, pressing palms. Let's pull those hands down for a nice counter stretch. And then folding forward with a relatively flat back from the hips, bringing those arms with me. Give a little active stretching there. I'm going to let those elbows fall away from each other, keeping the hands clasped. And do a quick body check, checking in with that low back. Just give the low back a little love. Coming down the with the butt and the backs of the glutes and the hamstrings, the backs of the knees, checking in with the backs of the calves, backs of ankles, coming around front to check in with the toes and the fronts of the ankles. I'm going to roll up slowly and check in with the front of the body, shins, knees, thighs. Got my painting pants on, checking in with the torso, and the belly, and the chest, and the arms. Shake that off a little bit. Let's do some smoothing energy down the arms and some shaking it off. Just reminding the arms to let go of tension, keep the blood a-flowing. It's an ongoing endeavor in my arms. I'm going to step back now with the right foot, pressing that right heel down, making sure not to crunch past these left toes with the left knee, pulling that back hip forward, forward hip back, looking for a perpendicular line with the hips, parallel lines with the feet, tucking the tailbone under a little bit. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Making sure not to crunch up in the shoulders, bringing arms up overhead. Remembering to breathe and smile and find that peace in the moment, in the right now. That's all we get is right now, right? Yes. Maybe tomorrow. Who knows? You don't know, do you? I'm going to shift this back heel forward a little bit onto the perpendicular line. Opening the hips. Looking for this side plane here. Checking in with the arm alignment. And then sliding that back heel out. Bending from the hips into a nice side twisting triangle. Left arm and leg against each other for torque and support. Bringing that right arm up to gaze past right fingertips. And then bringing that hand down onto the diagonal. Pressing through the heel, through the spine, out the fingertips. And then bringing this hand down on the inside of the left for a nice deep lunge here. Bringing weight onto the hands. Bringing that front leg back to meet the back leg and pressing through the palms, through the spine, tipping the tailbone toward the back of the head, pressing into the heels. Let's come into a plank position and do one slow push-up, keeping the elbows in close to the torso, nice and slow down. Watch that pulled muscle, hold in here, and then pressing up. Yep, still baby and a little bit of a pull there. I'm going to push back through the palms, tipping the tailbone into the heels, and then swinging that right leg forward, just in the stretchy shirt. Enjoying a nice deep lunge on that side for a little quick bounce, and then stepping forward with that back foot. Hanging here in forward fold again. It helps me to give a lot of sighs, you might have noticed. It's just a way to release excess energy, unstick stagnant energy. Bend the knees, swing the arms back. Coming into another counter stretch, pushing the hips forward, gazing up past those fingertips, and then bringing that all to the center again. Shake it out and shake it out. I think I'm going to do a little bit of balancing today. Bringing my weight onto the right, bringing this left knee up toward left shoulder. Let's do some ankle rotations, little circles here and the other way. Reaching for the bottom of this foot. Going for a straight-ish leg out front. Making sure to relax that supporting leg as much as possible. Try not to counter lean. I'm going to bring this left out to the left side and just kind of play with it in the hip socket a little bit. And then bending that knee, bringing this foot onto the supporting leg. Find a moment of peace here, imagining myself a mountain covered in trees. Bring those arms up, making sure not to crunch in those shoulders. Still trying to tuck the tailbone under a little bit. Swinging this knee to the back or outside. Still kind of looking for a perpendicular line here in the pelvis. And of course, still remembering to breathe and smile as much as possible. Although I encourage you to try holding your breath and scowling if you prefer. See what feels better. I dare ya. Releasing all that. Stomping out a little bit. I'm going to bring my weight onto the left. Bringing this right knee up toward right shoulder. Relaxing the shoulders, tipping the tailbone under. Let's do a little ankle rotation on this side. And the other way. Those ankles are stiff today. Reaching for the bottom of that foot. And trying a nice forward fold in the air over that right leg. Still trying to relax that supporting leg. With the left, bringing that leg out to the right, trying to straighten it a little more, and just playing around with that leg in the hip socket a little. Doing my best not to counter lean. Just saying that makes me fall over. I'm going to bring this foot onto the supporting leg, swinging this knee out, still trying to tuck the tailbone a little bit. For a nice long and strong line through the spine and the abdomen. Bring these arms up, making sure to relax the shoulders, relax the supporting leg, and imagining myself a strong, long-standing mountain covered in trees, maybe with a slight morning breeze, where the warm air mixes with the cool air. Releasing all of that. Stomp it out. Shake it out a little bit. I'm going to come into a straddle and do a little more hip stretching. Just dipping on the left, pushing into the right. Dipping on the right, pushing into the left. Dipping on the left, pushing into the right. Dipping on the right, pushing into the left. I'm going to fold from the hips on both sides into a nice straddle forward fold. You can do a little of that same hip dipping in this folded position for a little different stretch. On the legs, dipping on the left, dipping on the right. Dipping on the left and dipping on the right. I'm going to come over to the left and just pull the torso over that left leg for a little stretch, and then back to center, and then using the hands on the right leg, pulling the torso over that leg for a nice stretch. Back to center, and then not locking these knees, rolling up. Nice and slow. Coming back to neutral or central. Let's walk these feet back together. Let's do some little wrist checking, little circles with the hands on wrists. And the other way. Maybe some big circles with the hands. Can add some breath, breathing in. Nice and deep breath, and then full release. One more. Let's go the other way. Breathing in and pushing the lungs with vibrant air, and then pushing that out, letting it go, making room for that next breath, and then releasing that. Let's do some shoulder shrugs. I feel like I'm doing this in reverse order, but that's okay. Tensing up, can even add the hands and wrists, and then just letting that go. I like to swing the arms, alternating left and right over each other. One more, tensing up, tensing with the hands and the wrists, and then I like to imagine that I'm sticking gold dust onto my bones and sinews and muscles. On the breath in, sticking gold dust anywhere that's tense, and then just blowing that dust off. Let's give a good shake out. I may or may not get to some inverted poses, although that is an agreement that I've had with myself that I have been slacking on, so hopefully I will, huh? It's good to see some of you out there. Larry, Mike, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're remembering to take care of you, because your body is the one thing you can't live without. So I like to say, happy Friday. Peace.